welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a great video. It's our final video for 2021, and the agenda is quite simple. This is what we're going to do. We're going to look at a little bit of on-chain analytics. We're going to take a look at some Bitcoin net flow and exchange reserves. I'll just give you a quick update there so you can see what's going on. We're going to look at the Bitcoin chart, then we're going to look at the EGLD chart, then we're going to look at the RIDE and MEX charts, and we're going to take a look at one article that I thought was pretty interesting. So I'll show you that right before we go into the Bitcoin chart. And the final thing is I'm going to give you information on a giveaway that we're doing tomorrow on my channel, on my Twitter. So make sure you're following me on Twitter and you enter this giveaway, because literally at this point it's worth close to $2,000, maybe a little more than that. So check it out. I'll show you the information on it at the end of the video, but you're going to have to go find the link yourself. Basically, all you got to do, register for Twitter, follow me, look through my timeline. You'll see the giveaway. Like the post, retweet it, follow the channels it tells you to, so that you qualify to be part of the qualify to be a winner. And you could end up winning an NFT worth like 9.5 EGLD or 9 EGLD, and 0.5 EGLD is going to go to second place. Or you know what? First place is going to get the pick. Do they want 0.5 EGLD or do they want the NFT that could be worth 9 EGLD? It's going to be up to them. So make sure you register. Let's go ahead and get started. Happy New Year. All right, let's do this. First off, okay, we are going to look at a couple of interesting things on the thing right here. Crypto Quant, on-chain analytics. First thing is the exchange reserves. We're going to take a look at this on a long term. What I want you to look at with the exchange reserves are really what we have seen in 2021, because this is what really matters. Right now we're doing the year end. We want to see what's been happening in 2020 and then the trend to 2021. So take a look here at the bottom. From here down to about here, right? From this line to this line is all of 2020. So let's make this a little bit bigger so you can see both years in totality. All right. There you go. That's as clear as it gets without me blocking you like my camera window. Okay, so here we go. What we see in 2020 is a pretty clear indication that the exchange reserves dropped significantly over the course of that year. And at that same time, the price went significantly parabolic in that same time period. So we kind of reached this peak, right? We were in the middle of this bull run, this bull phase, taking us to the 40,000 all-time high at the end of December 2020. 2021 turned out to be hitting all-time highs of around 65,000 by April, followed by May, June, and most of July being a downtrend, and then in August, the uptrend beginning again, September, a short downtrend, and then October and November, we went back up to all-time highs, 69,000, and now December, we are moving in a downward direction. Now, the question is, where do you think we're going? Because in all honesty, what I see here is that exchange reserves are moving in a very, very simple pattern, right? 2020, they went significantly down. We went parabolic. 2021, exchange reserves are still moving down, but they have been moving down slowly, and they have had some peaks. When exchange reserves went up, price went down. When exchange reserve went sideways, price went down and then up. Now price went up, exchange reserves are trending down. I am expecting to see the same thing that we saw here happen here, which is when this went down, we saw a few spikes in exchange reserves. Let's zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. Okay, so you have price there, you have exchange reserves here. Okay, so this is what I'm expecting to see. When we had this dip in price down to around 40K in September, what happened to the exchange reserves? Well, the exchange reserves started peaking up as people were scared. Then price went parabolic, exchange reserves kept dropping. Now what's happened? Well, we're going sideways again. What's happened to exchange reserves? Well, we have a little pump in exchange reserves, kind of like we saw here. Now it's starting to trend down. I think we're going to see this trend down again, start another major downtrend like this one here, and it's going to lead to another major pump, and it's going to take us to new all-time highs. My suspicion is that if the exchange reserves drop to about this level here, 2.26 million, well, if there's 2.26 million left on exchanges, I'm expecting the price to break that $75,000 mark. And I think it will take a little bit of time, but I think that's what we're going to continue to see. I think 2022 is going to be the year that the exchange reserves slowly start dropping and the price has major peaks and valleys of appreciation. I don't think there's going to be a traditional bear market for a while. And the reason is because now we're in a global climate where people need an asset like Bitcoin. Case in point, let's move on. We're going to take a look here at this article. All right. When we look at this article, it's very simple. It says, this is yesterday, okay, December 30th, 2021. It says Marathon Digital Holdings makes an order for $900 million of new Bitcoin miners. It says Marathon Digital has announced an order of 78,000 Bitmain's latest generation Antminer S19 XP models. The model is Bitmain's most powerful yet, with a hash rate of 140 terahashes per second. The order is worth a total of $879.06 million. Marathon expects to have 199,000 miners deployed following fulfillment of its latest order after replacing some of its older equipment in order to increase the overall efficiency of operations. Now, the interesting thing here is that Marathon Digital is almost buying $1 billion worth of miners, okay? The market's down right now and everyone's filled with fear. They announced this order yesterday. Well, what you'd probably be interested in is who's investing in Marathon? Marathon Digital Holdings, right? This is a Bitcoin mining company. By definition, Bitcoin has to do well for them to do well. If they're mining something that's not worth a lot of money, well, they're not really generating a lot of value. Well, let's see who believes that they are generating a lot of value. Here we have Marathon Digital Holdings common stock, institutional ownership. First of all, the institutional ownership of all common stock is 36.54%. Okay, the total value of holding is $1,290 million. That's $1.2 billion. Now we have a total here. It's probably more than that, to be honest with you. Now what we're looking at here is, well, just a list of some of the different institutional holders of our friends Marathon Digital. And let's just put it this way. These owners, okay, they would invest in Marathon Digital for a couple of reasons. First of all, let's see if we can zoom in and give you a better view here, okay? Yeah, that's a little bit better. So these institutional owners would own it for a couple of reasons, right? Why are they going to own it? Well, a lot of them don't want to buy Bitcoin. What's another way to get exposure to Bitcoin? To get exposure to a mining company. I mean, let's face it, the mining company's shares are going to be more valuable if they're mining more Bitcoin and if Bitcoin's going up in price, especially since a lot of mining companies now are buying all of their equipment and covering their operating costs by generating debt. And then what do? Well, they just hang on to the Bitcoin and keep paying back the debt because they're paying back less. They're basically making more money this way because they're paying back debt on low interest since interest rates are so low. And then on top of that, they're earning a higher return on the Bitcoin that they're holding. So a few years down the road, they can sell whatever Bitcoin they need to cover additional operating costs or grow their mining operations, while at the same time, they can continue to accumulate more Bitcoin. It's a very, very smart business. To be honest with you, I wish I'd created my own mining company a few years ago. But, I started investing majorly about 2 years ago. So to each their own. That wasn't really for me because I'm pretty busy. But here are the owners, institutional owners of Marathon Digital, who just bought $1 billion. Marathon Digital just buys $900 million of mining equipment. Here are the top owners. Vanguard Group. BlackRock, Susquehanna International Group, State Street Corp. Then you go down, you have Morgan Stanley, Citadel, Charles Schwab, Goldman Sachs, these JP Morgan and Chase, these are all companies that have said so many times they don't believe in Bitcoin. They think Bitcoin's going to go down. Why? Well, because they have a vested interest. They don't want people buying Bitcoin. They want people investing in their funds. So, if you actually look at this, what you end up seeing is that Marathon Digital is part of a lot of mutual funds owned by Vanguard. Now, that means that 401ks, all these things that invest in Vanguard are getting small exposure to Bitcoin through Marathon Digital and through the mutual funds. There are other mining corporations that have stocks as well. So this is a very interesting thing to keep an eye on because it really relates back to kind of what you see with gold mining. Gold mining companies are going to do well if gold's doing well. That's just how it is. That's where their revenue comes from. It's kind of the same thing with Bitcoin mining companies, except now Bitcoin mining companies, unlike gold mining companies, are actually keeping their Bitcoin. Gold mining companies don't really hold on to their gold. They mine the gold, they sell the gold, right? Bitcoin mining companies are like, well, wait a minute. It actually may be more valuable for us to keep this scarce asset than it is to sell it. Tells you something about gold. Just saying. All right. Peter Schiff will tell you otherwise, but what can you say, man? I like Schiff. Like, Peter Schiff has a lot of good insights on inflation and the state of the Fed and monetary policy and all that stuff. But man, he's missing the boat on the Bitcoin. Thankful that his son, Spencer Schiff, actually buys Bitcoin. Okay, let's keep moving. All right, so now we know something. This is a very interesting thing to know. All right, now you know that Vanguard, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, Citadel, Charles Schwab, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, all these big companies, even Fidelity is on this list if we keep looking. All these big companies have a large exposure to Marathon Digital. Marathon Digital is increasing the amount of Bitcoin they're mining. By definition, these companies, these large institutional holders of Marathon Digital are invested directly into Bitcoin through the Bitcoin mining companies. That's what's happening here. Let's move on to the Bitcoin chart. Now, if we look at the Bitcoin chart, a couple of interesting things. All right, I'm going to try to keep this short because we're already 10 minutes in. So we're going to do this and we're going to zoom out, and I want you to look at a few key things here. First of all, this yellow line. All right, take a look. Let's come back here. There we go. I'm going to lock these things in place. Okay, so we come back here. We take a look at this yellow line. All right, this one here. So you take a look at that yellow line. You see that it starts up here. This is when we hit our 69K all-time high. Let's see if we can actually switch to this view. This should be a little bit better. So this is when we hit our 69K all-time high, all right? Then we have this downtrend line. Downtrend line is pretty simple. What this downtrend line is showing us is it's showing us where we hit all the major tops. So we hit our all-time high here. This is where we topped out again on the same line. Then we had this section here, and I put this line a little bit lower than the candle bodies because I wanted it to hit all three of these candles. This is an average of where it really hit resistance in this area. So we have this here, we go down, and what do we find? Well, once again, it hit resistance right here when we're at the 49K level very recently. And now we are testing this line as support. Now, this is pretty interesting. It is very interesting because one of the things you learn as you start doing TA, okay, let's get rid of a couple of things here. One of the things you learn as you start doing TA is that patterns repeat often. And when they repeat, there's one very clear thing that you want to see long term. You want to see resistance flip into support. That is usually when you see a springboard to move higher, and that is how you're testing. That is how you know you are going to start testing new highs. You have to turn prior resistance into support. It's a very common thing that you find anywhere in chart analysis. Well, now as we start looking a little closer, what you see happening here is that you have this yellow downtrend line is a major resistance. It was resistance here. It was resistance here. It was resistance here. It was resistance here. And now for the first time, we are testing it as support. That's very important. It may not seem like it. It may seem very bearish where we are right now. And I'll be honest with you, it's not the most bullish thing to be testing this numerous times and falling further. That's not really bullish. You want to move up. But one of the bullish things is that we have been holding this support for now. We've been holding it, and it's quite bullish. If we bounce off of it, well, then our next major resistance is 52,000. We've been waiting to break past that. That is essentially our bullish confirmation line. So if we look at this as a horizontal line, hang on, let me find it. There it is. If we look at this, that's our bullish confirmation. Now, the interesting thing about this as our bullish confirmation is that we were rejected off of it one time. We got rejected off of it here. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see this a little bit more. Okay, so we hit this bullish confirmation line, we got rejected. It would have been the confirmation if we broke above it. So that's what we really needed to do, is we needed to break above it. We didn't break above it. So once we didn't break above it, well, this had turned into support in this area. Now it's flipped back into resistance because we have to break past it again, and we're having death crosses all the way across. So this is not a very bullish scenario, but we see a couple of things that give us hope. One of those things is that we had this major downward wedge, right? This descending wedge. We broke out of this wedge exactly like we're supposed to. Right, so we break out of this wedge here, we hit resistance on the major resistance line, then we hit resistance up here on, well, what would you know? What do you know? It's our regression line. We hit resistance on our regression line in this entire area. Now, as we hit resistance on that long-term regression line, well, something interesting happened, right? That's when we can now zoom out into the daily. Now, when we look at the daily, what you'll notice is that this regression line was actually our bottom channel, right? It was the bottom channel for this year. If we look much, much more long-term, so if we go into like the weekly chart, you'll notice that I'm actually not going back super far on this, EGLD US or this Bitcoin US dollar chart, right? I'm going back right over here to 2020. That's where I started the regression lines. But one thing that's super interesting about that is that now we are going into a brand new channel. So we're going to have to draw a brand new regression line. Once we draw that regression line, we're going to have another major support below us. And just as an estimate right now, that regression line would look something like this. Let's duplicate that. We'll take this ray and we are going to line it up where it needs to be, right? I usually take a lot more time with this, so this is just going to be a very rudimentary one, and I'm going to eyeball it. Usually I actually go in and set the proper coordinates based on some math. So I'll do that later. That way the next time we are working together, you will see the most accurate representation of this line. For now, that's accurate enough. Okay, so now when we look at this, we go back, okay? We take a look at the chart again, and we're going to actually now switch back to the 4-hour. When we look at this on the 4-hour again, and we look at that bottom regression line, what you're going to see now is that we actually have a large amount of support below us, and we get a very clear idea of where the major support right now is. So first thing, if we lose this downtrend, the first thing to see is, do we lose 45.5? 45.5 is it's like the golden number right now. If we drop below 45.5, well then basically what's happening is we're coming into an area where we don't have a lot of long-term support. So let's take a look at what I mean there. Let's zoom out a bit so you can see, okay? So 45.5 is like right over here, 45.5. Look what happens when you drop below 45.5. You basically go into this area here where there's not a lot of support. That means that the support really kicks in again at around 40,000 right here, right? Like this is where the support is. So basically, if we drop below 45.5, well, then it's very likely that we're going to drop down and hit around 40,000, maybe even 39,000. So keep that in mind. The funny thing is that if you now zoom back in and you look at this regression line, the new one that we just created, well, where does this regression line really sit? Let's say we're coming back, we go down over the next few days, and by, I don't know, maybe January 3rd or 4th, we drop down. Well, look at that. This regression line is right at around 41,500. So if we drop below it a little bit, it'll be right here. This could be our next major support. It could be the bottom of a new channel. And then we could follow that new channel up. And just halfway into that new channel is 55,000, 60,000. 60,000 turns into a resistance. I think this is a very, very likely scenario for this to happen, and we put this new channel in with an upward test on resistance and then a downward test as support. First thing to remember, what you're looking for Bitcoin right now is whether it's going to lose 45.5. If it is, I'd be ready to buy as low as 40,000. My orders already sit all the way from 40,000 to 45,000 just in case this plays out. Very important thing to check. Now, keep in mind, if this was to happen, a lot of other assets are going to get hit too. So let's move on directly to EGLD. So if we look at EGLD right now, what you're going to see that's happening with EGLD is, well, it's quite simple, right? We're getting support on the golden pocket. We've been sitting at this golden pocket area for quite some time. Let's make things a little bit clearer. So we'll make that text a little bit bigger so you can see it. I'm just going to move that across. So this is our golden pocket area, 224 to 240. If we move down, you'll see that we've hit this golden pocket area numerous times. It was support and resistance here until we moved past it. We hit a new all-time high. Now we've come back and we're getting support in that exact same area. What's interesting about this is where the majority of our volume is, right? If we lose the golden pocket, well then, yeah, we could drop as low as 175. It's a possibility. It would be a great buy area. I think that we don't go lower than 160 if anything like that happens. But for that to happen, Bitcoin would have to go back to like 30K. I don't think it's going to go that far. I think that if Bitcoin drops to 40,000, you see us test the bottom of this golden pocket with EGLD at around 224. But just keep in mind that if I was you, have some orders ready. Like I already have my orders ready as low as 150. remember what happened here. Price was like at 500, 540. If you had put some orders down at 225 or 250 when the price was at 550, those orders would have hit. You would have gotten a 50% discount. You didn't have to buy up here, right? When you hit prices like that, seeing drops is natural. It happens. It happens to every asset. I mean, look what's happened in the history, right? I remember when we were at these areas, when EGLD first came up in February 2021 and hit $200, and then it went all the way back down, this massive drop to 67. You could have actually bought EGLD at $67 here, right? A number of times. It even came down in June down to like $50. And I remember at that time, I was accumulating like crazy in these two dips. These opportunities will continue to come, but the bottoms will get higher and higher and higher as time goes on. So for example, now if we look at where the bottom is, hang on, what am I doing here? Let's lock this in place. I don't want to lose my regression line. So if we look at where the bottoms were then, right? The bottom was what, $50 here, 57, then it became 67. Now we've come up, we hit a bottom at 138. Now we're kind of bottoming out at around 230. So having another dip here and making a bottom of 140, well, that bottom is still way higher than these ones at 68 and 58. So this is actually massive, massive gain. When I see people saying that, oh, EGLD's underperforming, I'm like, what are you on? Like, what are you on? This is not underperforming. This is massive, massive overperforming. You know, the only thing that could have happened here that would have been more overperformance is if everything went super smooth with the DEX, no issues at all, and price just kept shooting up. But I don't think that would have happened because no matter what, people knew the DEX was coming out, and you're going to get a lot of traders that pump the price and buy a lot and then sell a lot. Like, that's just common. That happens. Right now, a little longer term, what I'm looking to happen with EGLD is I'm looking for us to potentially test around 220 again, maybe as low as 210. If we drop down to that level, that's going to coincide with Bitcoin dropping to around 40,000. So it's going to be dependent on if Bitcoin goes that low. If it does go that low, then I'm going to expect the price to come down to around 208 to 210, somewhere around there. I already have buy orders as low as 150 in case the standard deviation is a little higher than I'm expecting. And then I expect the uptrend to begin for everything, because I think what's happening right now is a lot of people, a lot of whales are selling, and they're scaring people into selling their Bitcoin, selling their other assets. And these are the people that are accumulating. I mean, look at the people investing in Marathon Digital. Like, this is where big, big money is going. It's going towards the future of finance. And this is one of those things where even today, one of the SEC commissioners is like, I don't know why we haven't approved a spot Bitcoin ETF yet. People, it's going to get approved. Not even an SEC commissioner can tell us why it's not approved. I'll tell you why it's not approved. It's not approved because the Fed and Treasury are telling the SEC not to approve it. That's why it's not approved. Now, that's my speculation. That's not fact, but it's speculation. That's what I think's going on. And I think the SEC eventually will have to approve it, because people are going to start finding ways to get into Bitcoin anyways. Companies, a lot of individuals are just going to keep doing the logical thing, which is take the money out of the stock market, put it into the better property, the better asset, which is Bitcoin. From there, you can start discovering coins related to the metaverse, related to DeFi, and then you can start investing in these other coins. So it's a natural progression that usually starts with Bitcoin. I think that's what's going to continue happening. For EGLD right now, that's my downside prediction. It's around 200 to 210. And then my upside prediction is right here at 382. I think what needs to happen for us right now is we need to end this downtrend. This is going to come with Bitcoin having a major pump. When that happens, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see EGLD hit a lot of resistance at around the $275 mark. That's going to be right around here at the 200 exponential moving average on the 4 hour. So let's zoom in so you can see that better. It's going to be right around here at 275. I expect resistance there. Likely a move like this, resistance, come back down, kind of stays with this major downtrend. Then I think we're going to break out above this and hit resistance at this green area, which is around 295 at our fib. And then after that, I expect we either make a downtrend, test this area a little bit more in mid-January at around 285, 290, and then I expect us to break out. And I expect sometime in mid-January to the end of January for Bitcoin to have a major breakout too. Bitcoin, it could happen sooner for Bitcoin, and if it does, I think it'll happen sooner for EGLD as well. So just keep it in your mind, but this is kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting sideways trading until we hit that $300 mark. Once we break past that, it's going to coincide with a major breakout for Bitcoin, and then I think we're going to be heading back up towards that $380 to $400 mark. That's kind of what I'm looking for, but I'm looking a little long term. That's what I do. And I'm actually hoping that I'm wrong about this, and I'm hoping that we do see a dip back down to like the 180 level, because then my orders will fill and the price will go right back up, just like when I was buying at this area at around $50, $60. Same thing happened. I expect the same thing happen again. So it's kind of what I'm expecting. These cycles repeat, and right now what we are seeing with EGLD is that the cycles are moving a lot faster than even Bitcoin moved, which means that just as quick as you have a opportunity to buy, that opportunity disappears. And I think that's what's happening now. We have good opportunities to buy, so I'm taking advantage of them at these prices. I'm preparing for lower prices, and I'm preparing for the future. So that's kind of where I see EGLD going. Let's take a look at Ride. Hollow Ride is pretty interesting. Since we had the news of, since we basically had the Ride farm receive really good LockMex rewards, the price shot up. It's been consolidating. It's been holding these Fibonacci retracement levels pretty well. So let's kind of move this over a little bit and adjust this. So we're going to move this over, get it adjusted to the high there, because I don't consider $7 to be the all-time high. I'm considering about $2.51 to be the all-time high, because that's actually a more sustained high than the $7, which was kind of a fake high. So now what we're seeing is that we're kind of losing this fib retracement level at 236, which means that if we come down to test, we're looking at possibly testing $1.64. Now, these are pretty big retracement levels. This is on the 4 hour. It's possible that we actually hit support a lot earlier than that. But the fact of the matter is we just don't know where the support is here. You know, that's the thing. We don't know it. We don't have VPVR here. And on top of that, when we went through this area, we went through it very rapidly. The only thing we know is that this Fibonacci line down here was resistance before. If it was resistance before, it's likely going to be support. So if the price comes down during a downtrend where everything else drops a bit, like I just talked about with EGLD and Bitcoin, well, then it might come down to around 165, where you see buying start to happen again. And honestly, this is looking pretty good chart-wise, right? If you do the pattern here, basically what you're looking at is kind of a major bull flag. And if you really draw that out, this flag technically would have a breakout somewhere around January the 5th or 6th, unless this changes. You know, this could change like this, and then suddenly you have a much larger triangle, and those are pretty bad drawings. But that's kind of what we're looking at with this. I would just be a little cautious with Ride right now. I'm not touching mine. I still have EGLD and Ride in the LP, and I'm earning LockMex on it, and I'm just letting it chill there, because if I end up with a little impermanent loss, it doesn't matter now, because I think what's going to end up happening is sometime in January and February, once we have information about Ride's new staking program and a bunch of other things coming out with Ride over time, I think it's going to do much better. So we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm keeping, you know, a few $1,000s invested. I think I have like a few thousand Ride paired with a bunch of EGLD, and I'm just letting it sit, letting it earn interest. So I'm happy with that. Now we'll look at MEX. MEX is actually looking pretty interesting. We're going to look at it on the MEX USD chart. Well, what you're going to see here is that MEX is actually quite far below its golden pocket right now in the long term. This golden pocket actually may be getting invalidated. So we're going to have to kind of take a look to see what happens, because what's happening right now is that MEX is kind of falling into this pattern of essentially, hang on one second. There we go. It's kind of falling into this pattern of essentially dropping at a fairly predictable rate. And it looks like the reason that that's happening is because of the unlocks, right? When you had the unlocks, you had people selling, and now people are just reducing risk as the rest of the market goes down. I think what people are forgetting, though, is that the utility of MEX and LockMex are going to continue to grow up as the year progresses. Now, as the utility of MEX and LockMex grow, well, here's what's going to happen. More people are going to need it. The only way they're going to be able to get it if they're just getting into the space, because they're no longer going to have 4,000% LockMex generation, right? So the only way that they're going to be able to provide liquidity and earn their LockMex is by buying MEX, right? That's the only way they're going to be able to provide liquidity. They're going to have to buy MEX, pair it with EGLD and provide liquidity, right? They also could buy like Ride and pair that with EGLD and provide liquidity. But more than likely, you're going to see people doing that with MEX as well. So I think you're going to end up seeing that MEX is going to reach a point where the downward dissension stops, and then you're going to see more volume come in to buy, because as the utility increases, more people will need it, more people will buy it, and the price will go up. So I've actually not unlocked and sold any of my MEX. The reason is because why would I sell it down here? I think what's going to end up happening is over the course of the next year, it's going to be back up to these levels. And if it comes back up to these levels at 0.00, like 116, 117, 118, 119, at these levels, maybe I'll sell some. Maybe I'll sell a little bit of it, but I'm not going to sell it here. That's like giving away free MEX. I'm not going to do that. If people want that, they can just go buy it. They can swap for it. They're not going to get mine. Anyways, that's pretty much what I'm seeing with MEX. We've gone over MEX, we've gone over Ride, we've gone over EGLD, we've gone over Bitcoin. This has been one heck of a year. One of the things that I would say that you take away from this year is the knowledge that you've gained, right? You've learned about a lot more assets, you've met a lot more people, whether it's, just people you follow online, on Medium, on Twitter, on YouTube. Take all of this information into account, because the thing I'll tell you is one of the things that we are not taught enough is finance and economics, and it is big. It is important. You need to teach it to your children. You need to teach it to your friends, your family. Let them know the importance of understanding money, understanding cryptocurrency, understanding all other types of assets, real estate, commodities, stocks, everything. You got to understand it all, because if you understand it all, you know when is the right time to put your money in what and why. Start off by understanding money and reading the Bitcoin Standard. If you haven't done these two things, do these things. Learn everything you can about money. You can do that online. And then after that, read the Bitcoin Standard. That'll get you started. Once you're exposed to those ideas, then I would get into commodities, monetary policy, all these different things. And you'll start to learn why cryptocurrencies are really fundamentally disrupting the financial markets and why they could very well be the future. Keep an eye on all this stuff. We will be back very soon. Let's take a quick look at this giveaway for tomorrow, because you guys got to get in on this. So this giveaway is one I'm holding with the Elrond Hunters NFT team, and it's a pretty sweet team. One of the guys on the team reached out to me and we chatted a little bit. And basically what I do with any team that reaches out to me, if they want some type of promotion or collaboration or anything like that, is I vet them, right? I first look up the team, I read everything that I can about it, everything that's available online, and then I ask them some questions. And if I'm convinced that, okay, they have a decent plan in mind, this is something that could grow pretty well, and it has some value, they're not just going to vanish, then I'll maybe promote it, do a giveaway with them, whatever, That's why you don't see me do too many, right? It's very rare. I'll only do giveaways with people that I find that I trust like that, or projects that I like. I did it with the marshmallow ones once because I like the marshmallows. I did it with the Rudolph world because, well, you know what? It's Christmas. I liked Rudolph. I thought their NFTs were pretty cool. And Elrond Hunters, because they have a really legit way of starting to integrate nonprofits and charities with blockchain. And this could be pretty big in the future if they execute right. And the fact that they're doing it on Elrond and starting off the funding with NFTs that are actually quite awesome, I like that. I like people doing things for the right reasons. And it seems like that's what the team here is doing. So if you want to support them, definitely check out their NFTs. Though now the prices have gone up quite a lot since we did this. So here's how this giveaway works. You have to get onto Twitter if you're not already. You have to follow all three of these accounts. The first one is mine, CryptoDiv. Then you have Vital Network, which is the one who's going to be building the D-app or smart contract or whatever way they're going to integrate with nonprofits, which Vital Network's website gives you a lot more information on, and you can ask some questions on Telegram, so check that out. And then at Elrond Hunters, which is the actual NFT portion of the project where they're creating these awesome NFTs, using them for funding the larger non-profit type projects. So check these things out. And okay, so this is what you do. You find this post, you like the post, you retweet the post, and then you follow these three channels. When I do the giveaway, when I pick the winner, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to check for these. I'm going to have it look at this post. It's going to pull all the people that have retweeted it and liked it. And then it's going to make sure that those accounts are following all three of these accounts. If you meet all those conditions, you will have an entry into the raffle, and then it's going to automatically pick a winner. So make sure you do everything. I'll release a video tomorrow on my Twitter that shows the live drawing, and this is how it's going to work. Right now, the floor, so the lowest price Cyber Hunter NFT, let's check. Let's check exactly what it is. So we'll go to the Elron Hunters eMoon page, okay? So the all-time high sale was 9 EGLD for one of these NFTs, okay? So we look at the Cyber Hunter collection, you see 9.69 was the highest EGLD, and look at the floor now. The floor is 7.7. So a couple of days ago, the floor was 9. Now the floor is 7.7 EGLD. That means that this NFT that we're going to be giving away could be worth 7.7 EGLD, plus we're also giving away 0.5 EGLD. So there are going to be 2 winners. Whoever comes in number 1, I'm going to reach out to you first. You're going to decide, do you want the Cyber Hunter NFT or do you want the 0.5 EGLD? Completely up to you. You know, personally, if I win this if I was the winner, I would choose the NFT. But it's up to you. You get whatever you want, whatever you decide. I'll send it to you, and then whoever gets the second place, whoever's the second place winner, you're gonna get what's left. So if first place takes the NFT, you get 0.5 EGLD as second place. If first place decides to take the 0.5 NFT, then you're gonna get the Cyber Hunter NFT as. Sorry, I think you get my point, right? First place decides which prize they want. Second place gets the other one. But this is a pretty big prize. So make sure you guys get on Twitter, follow these accounts, get in on this. Good luck. I hope one of you wins, which you will. And I get to do it without even participating. Yay. But it's okay. I don't mind. The Elron Hunters team's really cool. They've been super nice to me. So I'm happy to work with them. All right, you guys, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow me on Twitter, make sure you get in on this, and make sure you start off your 2022 the right way. Do good things, be a good person, help people out, be nice to people. You know, that's how you start the year. All right, have a little champagne. Just don't get too wasted. You know, we're not kids. Not anymore. All right, peace out. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'll catch you guys tomorrow on the giveaway. New video coming very soon. I hope you enjoyed this, and just be ready for anything. You know, things are going to happen. 2022 is going to be one heck of a year. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I'm going to upgrade a lot of my stuff here. So soon enough, I'm going to have much better audio than this, and I'm also probably going to get a better camera and get her, you know, maybe a green screen. Like, we'll do some cool stuff in the future. All right, we got a website coming for my NFT project. We got more NFTs coming in the next few weeks on my project. So things are going to be good. Make sure you follow. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you have a great night. Peace out, y'all.